Let's get started with this lesson where I'm going to teach you how to make this eyeglass case that's super trendy right now. It's really popular on Instagram, and I decided to make it in this version that looks like a flower. Look, it's open. So we're going to learn how to make this eyeglass case in this lesson. And here I'm going to use a small hinged ring and a lobster clasp. I'm going to use hook number 4 millimeters because I'll be using a 5 millimeter yarn, okay? This one here is color 8183, 5 millimeters, 100% polyester, okay? The color fuchsia. Since I'm going to use a 5 millimeter yarn, I'll use a 4 millimeter hook here, but you can even use a 5 millimeter hook depending on your stitches. If your stitches are very loose, you should use a number 4 hook like I'm using, okay? If your stitches are very tight, then use a number 5 hook, okay? It's up to you. I'll also use a magnetic button, look here. It can be the smaller one, okay? 14 millimeters or this one, 18 millimeters. Let's start then with our magic circle. So I'm going to leave it. Just a little tip here, okay? I'm going to make a loop by wrapping it around my finger. Look, crossing one strand over the other to form an X and hold it with my thumb. And I'll go to the back. Here I'm already going to start making double crochets inside the circle so we don't need to make chains, okay? And it gives a better finish. So I come here on the second strand, look, the second strand, I yarn over. I make a little loop and go under the strand that was there, okay? And here, look, I grab it again and bring it to the front. Now I have 2 loops on the hook. I yarn over again and close these 2 loops. And now I make a chain up here. Look how the shape of my double crochet is already perfect here. It's in my circle and I didn't need to make 3 chains to make it look the same. A double crochet, right? I already started with a double crochet with the exact shape of my double crochet. And now I'm going to make 1 more chain, yarn over, and make another double crochet here. Look, I close 2 and then close 2 more. And now I chain 1 more, make another double crochet. I chain 1 more and finish another double crochet here inside the circle. Look, I already have 1, 2, 3, 4 here. I'm going to make a total of 10 double crochets here inside the circle, okay? Always with a space of 1 chain between each double crochet. So here I already chain 1 and make another double crochet. And this is how we're going to do it. I'm going to make 10 in total. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll make 5 more here. Always remember to grab both strands, otherwise at the end we won't be able to close our circle, okay? Look, I've made my 10 stitches with a chain space between each of them. So here on the last one, I also make a chain, okay? And I've already pulled my yarn here to close the circle. And I'm going to finish it off with a slip stitch. Look, here is my stitch. Look at the stitch pattern, okay? This is my stitch right here. So I close it off in this chain, all right? I come here into the chain and I close it with a slip stitch. I'm going to make 1 more slip stitch in the next chain until I reach the space, okay? Look. And I closed it. After closing here, I'm going to chain 3. And in this space, in this gap that was left between, right, 1 double crochet and another, where we made a chain, I'm going to make another double crochet here, look. 1 more double crochet. So there's this stitch plus this one. There are 2 stitches, okay? I'm going to chain 1. And between these stitches, right here, I'm going to make 2 double crochets, see? Between the stitches I made in the previous row, I make 2 double crochets here. And I chain 1 to create the space between 2 stitches and another 2 stitches. I go again into this space and make 2 double crochets. 1. 2 and a chain to create the space from one set of 2 stitches to the next set of 2 stitches, okay? So in this second row, it's going to be 2 double crochets, 1 chain, 2 double crochets, 1 chain. That's it between the stitches down here, okay? So I'm going to finish all of this here and I'll be right back with you. Look, I've finished the row, okay? Our second row. And it turned out like this. Look, 2 double crochets, 1 chain, 2 double crochets, 1 chain, 2 double crochets, 1 chain, all the way to the end. You'll end up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 sets of 2 stitches each, okay? Just like we made 10 starting stitches, up here you'll have 10 sets of stitches. If in case you want to use a thinner yarn and make it with more stitches, just pay attention to that. If you make it with 12 stitches here as well, the second row will have 12 sets of stitches, okay? So since I'm using a 5mm yarn, I started with 10 double crochets. I'll end up with 10 sets of 2 stitches each, all right? And now we're going to close it up, look. But before that, I also need to make a chain here at the end. So here I'm going to count 1, 2, 3 chains and go into the 4th because that's where I'll make my closure. I make a slip stitch and I go into the next chain and make another slip stitch because I need to walk my slip stitches over until I reach this space here between the 2 stitches. See? I kept moving with slip stitches until I got here. When I get here, I make 3 more chains and now we're going to make sets of 3 stitches each. So these 3 chains, it's as if it were a double crochet. I yarn over, go into this space here, right, and make 2 more stitches. Now I have 3 double crochets, okay? I make 1 chain for space again, and now in this new little space here, this new gap between the 2 sets of stitches, I make 3 more double crochets. So this is our third row. We're going to make 3 double crochets in the spaces, also separating each set with 1 chain. So 3 double crochets, 1 chain, 3 double crochets, 1 chain, and 3 more double crochets in this other space here, right? In the space between one stitch and another down here, I make 3 more and another chain. And that's how our third row will be. 3, 1 chain, 3, 1 chain, 3, 1 chain. I keep going like this until the end, until I reach the last row. Always remember that the 3 stitches go between the stitches below, okay? In this space we made with the chain in the previous row. So I'm going to finish up here and I'll be right back so we can do the 4th row. I finished the 3rd row. Look, just 3 stitches and a little space of 1 chain between each set of 3, okay? And now as well, I ended up with 10 sets of 3 stitches here. Now I count again. 1, 2, 3 chains, and I go into the 4th to close with a slip stitch. Look, I've done that. Now I move along with slip stitches until I reach the chain where my space is, okay? So here, I've already made 1 slip stitch. I go to the next and make another slip stitch. I go to the next and make another slip stitch. I've arrived here. Where is mine? The space between the stitches. I'm going to chain 3 chains here. Okay? And now look, counting this one, I need to have 7 double crochets here. So this is indeed the very first one. I will now carefully make 6 more additional stitches inside this rather large and open space that was clearly formed here from the previous row, okay? I will proceed to make 6 more complete double crochets right here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 double crochets, and counting the 3 chains, that's 7. So in total here, I need to have 7 stitches, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And here, look, there's a chain in the second one, which is from this stitch. I go in and make a single crochet. So this is how our petals are going to be. I've reached this big space again, and I'm going to make 7 double crochets, okay? Now, there's no need to make chains because I'm already here. I just go straight into my 7 double crochets. Here I only made the 3 because it's the start of the row, okay? Of our closing right there. So I just make 7 here straight away. Inside this big space, okay? All 7 will be in the same spot here. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, okay? I'm going to skip 1 chain, make my single crochet here in the second one, but let me just tell you something real quick. Yeah, for those who don't, if you don't want to add a little ring, this little ring of mine, look, it's really small. If you don't want to put the swivel ring here on the clasp to attach it later to our eyeglass case, right? Because that's an extra cost if you think about it that way, right? If you just want to attach the clasp, we're going to put it on directly here now in this single crochet, okay? So I insert my hook through the clasp here. I go to the stitch where I would make my single crochet, which is by skipping 1 chain and going into the next. I yarn over, pull through the clasp and make my single crochet. Here I've attached my clasp, see? That's it. With this, you won't need to spend any extra. Using the ring is optional, okay? It's easier. In the end, it is. But if you don't want to keep spending on little rings and more clasps, because we know metal findings aren't cheap, you have this option here to attach the clasp directly, okay? And now after making the single crochet, I've reached the big hole again, so I'll make 7 more double crochets. And that's how we keep going, okay guys? 7 high stitches inside the hole and a low stitch in the second stitch here in this second chain. It's okay? 7, that's how our petals will look. 7 high points and 1 low point. 7 high points, 1 low point. Okay, fine. And that's how we conclude this journey. Look, I've finished my 7 highlights here. And the last one here we need to do, which is the slip stitch, okay? Also, look, skip 1, go into the second one and make a slip stitch. Not a slip stitch, sorry, a single crochet. Make a single crochet here. Now I can already cut my yarn, actually, I've already cut it, okay? After the single crochet, you cut the yarn and pull everything to the front. And I go into this little stitch here and take the yarn to the back just to hide it back there, okay? Look at that. And back here we hide it as we go around under these loops here of the double crochets. Okay? I pull it here to hide it. I'm going to cut another piece and burn it. Now the tip of it, because it's a polyester yarn and it won't come undone, all of it. I give it a little tug here, hide it in the back, press it down, and it will stick, okay? And look, the yarn that was here in the middle as well, I've already finished it off the same way I did here. I cut it, burned the tip, and hid it in the back, okay? And look how beautiful it turned out. You saw that it's a flower, look how beautiful it is. And today I'm going to give you another idea. With this pattern, you can turn it into a coaster. Look how beautiful it will be, right? But anyway, let's finish up here. Here I attached my clasp. So at this part, I'm going to fold it here. See? It needs to stay right at this tip, okay? When I fold it, look, it will form our glasses case, right? I'll have 2 petals. 2 petals on this side, 2 petals on the other side, and the one in the middle. It's on this middle one that I'm going to sew my magnetic button, okay? I sew one part here, and on the other side I sew the other part of the button so we can close it later, okay? To sew, I'm just going to use a regular sewing needle, and this thread here is nylon, okay? It's nylon, see, invisible thread, nylon, and we're going to sew the button. It's simple, there's no secret, look. I come here, and we start sewing. See how my button has 4 little holes? Look, it has 4 little holes. So I make a few stitches here in this first hole. I usually make about 5 or 6 stitches on each side. Look at that. I pass through the thread, see, going through it so I can get over here. To the other side, see? so I can keep going without having to cut my thread, see? And I get to the other side and sew about 5 more stitches here too. And I do this on all 4 sides, see? Because there are 4 little holes. The same goes for the other part. 4 little holes, I'm going to place it here right in front of the other one, okay? And I'm going to sew the 4 little holes. If you have that smaller button, the 14mm one, that works too, okay? Because since this is a small piece, there's no need to use the bigger button. You can use the small one too. I think it might even look more delicate. Since I didn't have the small one, I just used this one. And it will look like this, see, after you sew it, just like this. I'm going to finish my sewing and I'll be right back to show you. Look here, I finished sewing, right? And this is how it turned out. I also went ahead and glued my label here. And that's how we finished our eyeglass case. And look how it turned out. You put your glasses inside here. Close it and that's it. You can hang it on your keychain or your bag. Look how beautiful it is. I loved it. What did you think? Go ahead and subscribe to the channel. If you're not subscribed, leave a like on this video. And let me know what you thought of this little model. I hope you enjoyed the class and see you next time.